The first question that came up that I saw anyway, and that a lot of you have asked me is, are we headed for a civil war? And I want to start by saying that wars, especially civil wars, are wars about power, and they are supported by people who have some fantasy that they're going to come out of it on top. And I always point here to the Confederacy, where a very few leaders dragged the white men primarily, but the white people of the Confederacy into a war that they all thought was going to be easy. There was literally a guy at the beginning of the American Civil War, one of the leaders of the Democratic Party in the American South, who literally said that he would drink all the blood that would be spilled in any civil war because it was so obvious that the North was going to back down. Now, you look at the extraordinary death rate 4 years later and recognize just how misguided that was, but also how evil it was. And the other piece of that is that a lot of the people who think it's going to be easy and think, they're going to be these great heroes, first of all, they end up dying in really ugly ways. But second of all, at the end of the day, when the war is over, they have not changed the equation at all. The rich guys still are in charge of everything at the end of the Civil War. And that's, the when people sort of are rattling their sabers in this moment, one of the things I hope people hear is that there is never, ever a winner in a war, um, ever. And there is also, um, plenty of time and plenty of opportunity to turn a war back until the firing starts. And this is something I learned in my Wounded Knee book, that um, lots of people made lots of poor decisions that ended up in a place where the firing started. And the people who got hurt by it were not the ones making those decisions. So, when people talk about, is civil war inevitable, for example, and they're really there, some people are really urging that, it just makes my skin crawl because it is never, ever, ever a good thing. And if you followed me for a long time, there is actually something that I really won't talk about in American history, and that is the violent end of certain people. And the reason for that is because those things never are good. They are never good. So anyway, you've asked if we're going toward a civil war. Certainly that could be an outcome in this moment. But one of the things that we don't pay a lot of attention to in popular culture is how many wars don't happen. You think about all the wars that do happen, and presidents rarely get credit for not causing wars. But, off the top of my head, I can think of at least one time when the US came this close to a second civil war, and it didn't. I mean, literally, people were arming. People said, we're ready to go to war. And people found a solution to that. And that was after the election of 1876, which was deeply contested and was not settled. It was in November of 1876. It wasn't settled until March of 1877. That's December, January, February, and a little bit of March. 3 months where it looked like the United States was going to war, literally, and then it didn't. Happened again in 1879. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to go to war that actually don't happen. So I am not at all ready to say we are headed for a shooting war.